give my review on the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC. I thought it'd be nice to wrap up this DLC with the review. If you're looking at all the streams chronologically, which I don't think anyone other than myself would be doing, then you might be asking, hey, when did you beat Radon? I didn't see that on the stream. I beat him, but I was off stream because I realized when I'm streaming I actually get like a lower frame rate, and I wasn't able to get it on footage. I was too excited and I messed up. Sucks, but that's fine. I did use Mimic Tier, so laugh at me if you want. I will get on to him later though. Let me talk about the DLC as a whole. So I want to split this into two parts. Basically content, so this includes bosses and all that, and then the lore. Lore second, this content is first. Now let's just take a look at this from a larger perspective on content wise, bro. Look how beautiful the sky looks. This is the one thing that I always do well. But let's look at the map. This is a whole game right here. We got a whole game as a DLC, and it did cost $40, so this is what I was expecting. So on that front, they delivered. They gave us a whole game. I'm very happy with all the content that was delivered within the DLC. I will never complain about that. And I explored everything. I did absolutely everything that could have been done. I beat all the bosses, like every single one, all 40 something of them. I did everything. I got all the graces as well. But yeah, I beat all the enemies that don't respawn. I did everything. So yeah, looking at it content wise, I have literally no complaints. This is very good for the content that was given. And then looking at it, you know, with the weapons wise, a lot of people were complaining about like the usability of the weapons. I honestly don't really care about the usability. I mean, there are some weapons that are just really OP. So I don't know what they're talking about or what they even mean by the weapons are not usable. Because I mean, they are usable. I can show you some weapons that are usable within this DLC. This one right here, usable. And where's Milady? Usable. Dragon Slayer sword, wherever that is, it's usable. Right here. And then the weapon that I used to beat this boss here, also usable. And then like all of these weapons are also very flashy. Like, look at this. Like, I'm very happy with the way they did the Astral War on this weapon. I am very happy. So on those fronts, I'm not going to complain at all. They gave a bunch of weapons, they gave a bunch of stuff. I will not complain about that. However, you know, if people want to complain on their usability, I will not be one to argue on them with that. Now, I guess we should talk about. Let me actually sit down and talk. One more. So let me sit down and talk. Armor looks amazing as well. I mean, I know some of this is base game armor, but that helmet is DLC. This is probably the best helmet they made in this game. So let's talk. So content wise, I will not complain. That's a 10 out of 10. We got so much in this DLC that I think in the end it triumphs over both the Old Hunters and the Ring City. Content wise, at least. Alright, so if you're looking for, you know, more Elden Ring, you're gonna get more Elden Ring. If you think Elden Ring was a 10 out of 10, I think you may think that this DLC is a 10 out of 10. Maybe, just maybe. We'll wait on that. So, content-wise, it was good, you know. But we heard about a lot of complaints about the difficulty of the DLC overall. Let me give my 2 cents on that. I think overall the DLC is actually very, 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 very normal. Actually, probably easier than the base game. I actually had a lot of time, a lot of fun going through the DLC and beating a bunch of the bosses. I think my favorite area was probably either Inner Elm or Castle Anise. I don't know why. I just love the atmosphere of Castle Anise, but like when it came to actual difficulty of the areas, I had none. I had none at all. I think everything was very easy and was actually pretty easy. Like Mesmer, I heard a lot about Mesmer, but it took me like around 10 something tries to beat him. No summons, no nothing. And most of the bosses, actually all the bosses except for this final boss, and then for Bale, I didn't use any summons at all. Bale, I used Egon, so you do with what you will with that. I just thought he was a nice summon to use because his voice lines were very good. But and he added a lot to the atmosphere. But the final boss is another topic of its own. I'll get to that. Overall, though, I think the DLC's difficulty was very overinflated. I think it was actually a very feasible difficulty, especially if you're going for scatter tree fragments. Like, I think you are meant to use scatter tree fragments. It's like upgrading a weapon, you know? If you're gonna be going into endgame, you want to probably upgrade your weapon to like plus 25 or something. That's what I was doing here with the scatter tree fragments. That's what I was thinking, at least. Like, if you're gonna go through the DLC, it may be nice to at least upgrade your scatter tree level. You know, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I've had no problems with the difficulties of some of the bosses. I will say though, some of these bosses overall, like the difficulty of the DLC as a whole. I will get into the specific bosses later. Maybe now. I'm looking at what I should talk about. So we talked about content. I thought it was good. We talked about difficulty overall. I thought it was pretty normal. And now I think we should talk about difficulty on specific bosses. Okay. I have 2 bosses in particular. 3. Well, I'll go with 3 that I want to talk about. Let's first talk about the easiest of the bunch. That's Midra. I thought Midra was an amazing boss. Usually I hate it when bosses have windups. Like the only one I thought was done right was the Nameless King, and now Midra is in that group. I thought Midra's delays were done right, especially for it's like in character for him. You know, he's like Flame. He's the Lord of the Frenzy Flame. He's gonna be acting, you know, all fluent, all elegant. You know, like with a bunch of windups. I thought it was perfect for how he looked and in character for who he was. So I'm not gonna complain about the windups. I thought it was a bit difficult, I will say. Then again, it is one of the higher level bosses within the DLC. And I had to parry him, but I had a lot of fun doing so, so I guess I wouldn't really complain about that. Yeah. That's just one thing I want to bring up. Another boss that I hated so much was Mater, Mother of Fingers. That boss, genuinely, I don't know if I was weak or something. It was doing so much damage to me, like I just genuinely wanted to give up. So yeah, I just brought out incantations, and beat her by that. It didn't feel good at all. Some of the boss's moves are literally, you can't dodge them, especially like the 2, like the orbital strike move. I don't know what that thing is. Where they summon a black hole and then like 2 laser beams come from the black hole like a supernova. Like, what am I supposed to do there? I guess genuinely, you're gonna get insta hit once. The second one, you can actually dodge. But yeah, no, that was just annoying. I don't know what they were thinking with that boss, but that's fine. Final boss, that's like literally the last one I want to talk about. We'll talk about the final boss at the very end. What else? I guess a lot of the bosses in the DLC are just very, very, very like flashy. Especially like Mesmer as well. Mesmer is actually on the lower end. I thought Mesmer was a very, very good boss. Probably in my top 5 bosses. Bale was a very flashy boss, and I think sometimes maybe these bosses are getting a bit out of hand and a bit too flashy. I hope this is where they end, you know, cinema of some of these bosses. Like I don't want them to keep on increasing and increasing and increasing, because if you look at like the most of people's favorite bosses, you look at Gale, Ishin, Ludwig, like those three bosses. I mean, I guess they're flashy, they have some cool moves, but it's not like their moves are like in comparison to like Bale's giant lightning breaths or his slam attack or Placidus Axis stuff. So I think they should tone it down from now on. Because on the one hand, it is cinema, and it is very nice. On the other hand, it just makes the experience of fighting the boss a lot more difficult and a lot more annoying. Difficult in the bad way. But overall, I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say on that. I guess now we can talk about the final boss. Final boss, I'm going to split this into two phases, first and second. First phase I actually thought was very doable, very fun. I learned the first phase. I thought it was fun. It was actually very nice. Second phase, oh my gosh. Sometimes I was able to no-hit the first phase. Second phase is just the worst. My head hurts even thinking about that. There's a lot of problems with it. First of all, the light beams that just come out, and like if you get hit once, you're getting the whole combo hit on you. Bang, 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 bang. You're done for. Your whole HP is gone. But let's say, you somehow survived one of those. Then you don't know what move the boss is going to do next, because Mikla's hair is covering the boss's body. Alright? So you cannot tell what's happening. It's just very, very annoying, and the frame rate even drops to like 10, 20 frames because of like all the moves that are happening and all the chaos that's going on. Don't get me wrong, I love chaos. Make chaos take over the world. But when it comes to a boss fight, like I don't, unless there's like, excuse me, unless there's summons around and like he's doing a bunch of moves and that causes like the whole arena to shake around or something, I don't want there to be chaos if it's a 1v1. But there is chaos happening regardless, and I'm like, okay. I get that they wanted to end this off with a bang. This might have been too big of a bang. So yeah, I don't have any complaints about the first phase of the boss. Second phase though is just absolutely horrendous. Genuinely one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I had fun beating it with my mimic. I really did. And it took me a very long time to do it with the mimic as well. It took me like probably an hour and 30 minutes. Without the mimic, I probably spent like 6 hours on the boss. Probably spent over like 100 tries beating it. Not 200. Definitely not 200, but over 100 tries. Maybe like 75 to 100 tries. I think 75 to 150. I think that's like the ballpark of how many times it took me to fight this boss. But yeah, no, I don't know really what to say in particular. Like, overall, the difficulty of this DLC was inflated. I just thought that the final boss was a bit too difficult. So we talked about content, we talked about difficulty, we talked about the bosses. Is that all there is to do with the main sort of stuff? Content-wise? Weapons, we already talked about that. Ashes of War are very nice in this DLC, I love them a lot. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah. Oh, exploration. Okay. Yes, this is what I want to talk about. Oh my gosh, sometimes in this DLC when you're walking and exploring, it just feels like you're going in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm just going on this path and I'm thinking like this is like a very secret path that we're going on. We're going for the main route, we found this very secret path, we're exploring. I think I'm gonna get like a cool item or something after this. And then I get like a smithing stone 6. I'm like, why? There's just some stuff that leads to nowhere, like why'd you add that? Like, I don't know. It just feels like some stuff wasn't meant to be in the DLC, but it was there. Like some areas were just not meant to be there, like just small little areas that lead to nowhere. And maybe there's an item at the very end, and even the item at the very end might be like a smithing stone 6 or something. That's a small complaint, but I just kind of found it annoying. I also feel like most of these areas are very open with no enemies at all. Like if we go look at this map here, basically just like a bunch of trash enemies, like shadow enemies, and then one fire giant, maybe some birds, and then some blue guys, and that's it. Here, absolutely nothing except a ghost from dragon, which dies. Here, actually, that was kind of a lot in this red area. Charles is sitting grave. Here, bro. Okay, this is the worst one. They had just those lizard monsters, and that's it. Lizard and hand monsters. They didn't add those lizard monsters anywhere else, which makes you really sad. They added one whole cool, unique enemy into that area, and then they call it quits. And then these lizard monsters also reuse moves from the hand monsters. Like, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, frick, I forgot about some of the other bosses. Let's go back to bosses. Hippo guy, absolutely garbage. That boss is one of the worst. What else? And Commander Gaius. He's trash. I'm not gonna talk about those two. They're both trash. Let's move on. There's always gonna be trash bosses. Remember that. In the DLC, there will always be trash bosses. But yeah. If we're gonna talk about content, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 on content. I thought, like, yes, there was a lot of content includes DLC and bosses and weapons and all of that. Yeah, 9 out of 10 content I think is very, 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 very forgiving. Because there's a lot, but some places were empty. Some of the bosses were just overtuned. Some of the bosses were literally unfair. Some of the bosses were actually good, like Bale and Mesmer, and I guess Mitra as well. And well, yeah, and then yeah, some of the areas were empty, and the weapons were good. I actually enjoy the weapons a lot. I don't think I used a single base game weapon in this, except for Bloodhound's Fang. I got rid of that for another weapon immediately. But yeah. I'm kind of disappointed with the enemies. Like, there weren't many new enemies here. There were a few, but not too many. But, yeah, I think a 9 out of 10 on content is, overall content is a good score to give it. Now, let's talk about lore. I am very, very, very disappointed on lore, considering that this is From Software we're talking about. If this was any normal company, I'd be very fine with what they gave. But this is FromSoft. Usually they deliver when it comes to lore. I'm disappointed with what happened. Let me go to the bathroom. I need to actually be at my 100% when talking about lore. Alright, I'm back. So, now let's talk about the lore. I'm very disappointed. Considering this is from such, I'm very, very disappointed with the lore that was given. There were so many loose threads in the main story that I thought were gonna get wrapped up in the DLC, and they didn't. And I'm very sad that that happened. Especially with the story trailer, like, I felt like a lot in the story trailer was just not shown in the DLC. Like, America at the gate of divinity. What was she grabbing? What did she grab out? And we won't never know, I guess. America's backstory I actually thought was done very well. Like, okay, we found out why she was doing all this, because at first it seemed like she was doing this for her own selfish gains and desires, and we find out what was happening to her kin and all that, and oh yeah, and then Shaman Village, one of the best places in this DLC, I thought was amazing, absolutely amazing. It really showed me why she was doing all of this. I felt sorry for her. Not sorry enough to not kill her, but yeah, I understood everything. But yeah, no, sometimes it just felt as though the lore wasn't explained well enough, or some threads were just not developed. I'm not sure, man. Like, let's specifically go talk about Mesmer. I thought Mesmer's story was done very well, but I'm actually disappointed on how little he was talked about as a whole within the DLC. We only hear it from like item description and stuff like that, like about Mesmer. But looking at the trailer, like the war, the fire, and everything, I thought we'd be hearing like so much about Mesmer being the evil monster. We hear only a little bit about Mesmer being evil, and like most of them talk about him in good light. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'd love to hear like a two-sided conflict, like the people who hate Mesmer, they talk about how evil he is, but then the people who love Mesmer talk about how good he is, and then we hear about Mesmer's backstory and like, oh, that would have made it a lot better, considering he is the poster boy of the DLC. Like, if you look at Melania, bro, there was so much for Melania fight Radahn. We even had a whole video of Melania fighting Radahn. We hear a lot about Melania, the march of Finlay, bringing her back to the Halleck Tree. Like, there was so much cool stuff with Melania, and as bad of a boss she is, like, everything about her and the lore is amazing. I cannot hate her on that. Mesmer, as good of a boss he is, the lore just kind of felt a little bit disappointing. Not too disappointing, but just felt a little bit. I still love him as a character, and I loved how he crushed America at the very end, but just felt a little bit disappointing on Mesmer. Like, there wasn't enough. Mikola, oh no, they screwed up Mikola. They screwed him up. Mikola, and Radahn. Like, the Radahn Moog thing was not. They should have. It kind of just felt like a plot hole. Like, it came out of nowhere. It absolutely came out of nowhere. People who say it didn't are lying to themselves. The only thing that references this in the base game is like Moog and Radahn's bodies were not shown after you beat them. Every other demigod's body was there after you beat them. Moog's and Radahn's were not there. So it kind of felt like, okay, something was going on, Why are their bodies not here? But even then, I don't know. It feels as though they messed up the DLC in terms of lore. Like, Mikola was considered this golden child, and with the hints of evilness, and I like how I don't know. There were so many plot threads. Like Godwin, we're just gonna leave that. Like, I know he died, but I don't know. It just he's like the centerpiece of everything. Besides America, him and Mikola, or no, him in particular is the centerpiece of everything. Like, he's like the nameless king. Like, I felt like we should have gotten something from him, and we didn't. I just kind of feel a bit disappointed on that. Mikola, like, we had so many plot threads come from Mikola, like the golden needle, going back into time and like actually using it, with Melania and the rod, with the eclipse and all that, and we got nothing. We just got Radon incest. I don't know. It felt like they also messed up in terms of lore. A lot. They messed up a lot. I felt like there was too many threads open. Like, we didn't get anything with Glowmine Queen as well. Like, come on. And like Romania and Stay on the Bud, like, who... We got apps... Like, it just felt out of the blue when you breached the boss arena. Like, how am I supposed to know she was the one in the trailer that, like, was holding the spear and everything was burning around them? Oh, man, it just felt like a lot of plot threads were just left loose, and especially with the Glowmine Queen and Melina, like, what? She was... Yeah, I don't know what to say in particular. It's just... Everything felt loose, and they didn't wrap up well. I thought the DLC would wrap up everything that, you know, all the plot threads that were let loose, and it didn't. I'm kind of disappointed on that. And then if people say, "Oh, this is dark, this is from Soft, they don't wrap up the threads," look at Dark Souls 3 and look at what they did. Wrapped up the story perfectly. Like, I barely have any questions on, you know, what threads are left loose. Maybe the few ones that I have are, okay, what is the abyss that Aldrich was talking about? I mean, I guess that's more of a metaphysical thing, you know? It's just something that he believed in. I'm not sure what I mean, in the end, that's why I'm asking the question, like, what is the abyss? Second question, where did Guinevere go? Who is Rosaria? Is Rosaria Guinevere? Like, kind of feels okay, out in the open on that interpretation. I think she is, and I think that one is fine. Like, you can kind of think, oh, Rosaria's Guinevere, or she's the daughter of Guinevere. In the end, I just kind of wanted to know, you know, how does Guinevere's bloodline end? And we got that. And so Lothric. But yeah, no, I just felt like in this DLC in particular, there were a lot of plot threads that felt open to, you know, your interpretation, which I don't like. I really don't like. You may like it, but I don't. In terms of lore, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. So overall, I guess I'd give the DLC an 8 out of 10. I'd still say it's better overall, at least for a first time playthrough, and then Ring City and Old Hunters. But if you were to ask, and it's definitely better than that Ashes of Ariandel. I really didn't like that one. But if you're asking me to play any one of the DLCs again, I'll probably go play Old Hunters or Ring City. Like, I wouldn't want to play this one again because there's so much to do, and I mean, for a first time it's nice, but subsequent playthroughs, like Elden Ring itself, like, I just don't want to go through all that again. Maybe in 3-4 years I'll go play it, but not now. I think I'm gonna be kind of done with FromSoft after this. I'm just kind of burnt out, especially with the difficulty of this. I felt like Elden Ring as a whole was just too difficult, and difficult in the bad way. Dark Souls at 3, it felt like, oh, it's difficult, but I can learn how to beat the boss. And that's what made Dark Souls 3 my favorite of the lot. Elden Ring, it felt like, oh, I just need to spam my Ashes of War, and then I'll win. And hopefully the boss has doesn't use his most OP moves, you know? That's how it felt like in Elden Ring. So, I don't know what to say. I'm just disappointed. 8 out of 10 for the DLC. I thought they'd answer a lot more questions, and they didn't. So, yeah. 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 I'm not really sure what else to say. I'm kind of sad. That's really it. Hopefully Destiny 2's DLC does not give me that disappointment. I heard a lot of great things about the Destiny 2 DLC. I haven't really heard anyone talk bad about it, so I'm very happy with this. I will say this DLC does amazing on the skyboxes. Look at how beautiful this is, especially during the fight in second phase. Like, you see that area at the top opened up, and like it's blue, and like all the other stuff around it's yellow. That was amazing. But yeah, I think this is gonna be my last time playing Elden Ring for a very long time. unless they add like a boss rush mode or another DLC, in which I'll probably play it. But yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed with everything that was given. There's still a lot left open, and a lot that I wish they answered. But without further ado, you know, I guess we can talk about one last thing. I forgot to talk about this. The quest lines were good. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'll say for that. But I guess that's it. Nothing else for me to really say. I hope you guys enjoyed the DLC more than I did. But beyond that, I think I'm done. So, thank you guys for watching this playthrough. I enjoyed it. I'll be doing a Destiny 2 Final Shape playthrough as well after this. And yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.